Hello, welcome to Wrestle MSX. I am Michael.
I'm Sally.
Bayley defeats Liv Morgan.
Rey Mysterio defeats Julius Creed.
AJ Styles defeats Karrion Kross.
And Finn Balor beats Penta via DQ.
Now, if you want to know what really happened, Seth wins out.
If Gunther was out of control, he'd have bathed in Jimmy's claret.
And Penta bests Bron Breakker. We start with a recap from last week of Jey Uso and Gunther, and then cut to Gunther heading down to the ring for an interview with Michael Cole. Gunther said Jey's full of crap, with the crowd booing the house down. Gunther then grabbed the mic from Cole, saying screw Jey Uso, and right now he's the greatest World Heavyweight Champion of all time. The crowd yeet, with Gunther adding that he'll still put Jey down for a fourth consecutive time, with people telling him he was out of control when he bathed in Jimmy's blood. Gunther said he was in full control and he loved it, telling Jey to pray to the Lord and thank him that he was in control 2 weeks ago, because if he wasn't, he would have drowned them both in Jimmy's blood. And I think that is a brilliant line. I don't know who wrote that, but it was fantastic. It's like something from a film.
Yeah.
Gunther finishes by saying he's going to call his mother next week and tell him how much he enjoyed beating Jey Uso, and will walk out of WrestleMania still heavyweight champion.
We get a vignette from Bianca Belair, who says the rivalry with Io Sky and Rhea Ripley has brought out a different version of her, and that you can't spell WrestleMania without EST.
That's right, you can't. First match of the night, Liv Morgan versus Bayley. Raquel Rodriguez with Morgan, Valkyria with Bayley. It's a pretty even start, with Bayley getting a 2 count off a suplex and then follows up with a back suplex, with Liv then rolling out the ring. Bayley inevitably dives out the ring after her, which is countered by a forearm from Morgan, who then proceeds to hit the Three Amigos on Bayley outside the ring. Only to arrive though as the third is blocked, with Bayley then throwing Morgan into the ring steps.
Morgan soon gains momentum again though, avoiding a kick and then suplexing Bayley from the ring steps as we head to a break. We come back to find both competitors back in the ring, knocking 7 miles out of one another, before Morgan catches Bayley with a step up enziguri and covers for 2. There seemed a few fiery shots exchanged between the two of them then, as Morgan lashed out at Bayley, with Bayley replying in kind with a few hard shots of her own. We had a few quick pin attempts from each woman before a sunset flip buckle bomb sends Liv into the corner. The follow-up cover getting 2 for Bayley. A code breaker on the apron and drop kick to the outside see Morgan take control and cover Bayley, but only for 2.
Liv then comes off the middle rope, but Bayley catches her with a stunning looking move.
What, like a really good looking move?
No, like a stunner as Liv's falling through the air.
Oh, okay.
Bayley then hits Bayley to belly and covers Morgan, which is where it then all kicks off. As Bayley covers, Rodriguez puts Morgan's foot on the rope, breaking the pin. Well, she doesn't really, as Liv's not quite close enough to the rope, with her foot missing and Liv having to do it herself. This brings Lyra over, who attacks Raquel, but fails and gets put down by Big Mommy Cool.
Rodriguez then looks to attack Bayley, but Bayley bests her and then gets backstabbed by Morgan, with Morgan then looking for Oblivion. Only it fails as Lyra grabs hold of Bayley to foil Liv's attempt. Bayley then runs at Morgan, hits a jackknife cover and gains the victory.
We see Paul Heyman backstage waiting for his tribal chief, and then we get a vignette from Rhea Ripley saying at WrestleMania she'll get back what belongs to her. Dirty Dom. No, obviously the Women's World Championship.
Up next, Rey Mysterio against Julius Creed. Rey with a full complement of LWA members, as is Julius with American Made.
Chad and El Grande.
Julius overpowers Rey to begin with Rey then switching things up, dropping Julius with a forearm and then heading up top. As he does, Brutus jumps on the apron and distracts the ref, which allows Gable to knock Rey's feet from under him, allowing Julius to get at Rey. As Julius gets to the top rope, Dragon Lee knocks Julius's leg, which in turn crotches him on the top rope. This brings all members of the warring factions onto the apron, with the referee then ejecting all of them.
We come back from a break to see the two tumble out of the ring awkwardly, with Rey getting back in and then baseball sliding out headfirst at Julius. You know the one. Only Julius catches him, sorta, and then proceeds to pick up Rey, walk up the steps with Rey in hold, but then drop him on the apron as Rey escaped. Julius followed up with a charge, but Rey dodged it, with Julius posting himself and falling back into the ring. Hurricanrana, mounted punches and DDT aren't enough to keep the Creed down, who's then sent from the ring. As Rey winds up to dive out of the ring, Grande Americano appears on the apron, with Rey then focused on him and trying to remove his mask. This fails though, as Julius comes back in, only to end up being pushed into Americano, knocking him from the apron and being 619'd.
Rey drops the dime, gets the cover and picks up the win, with Michael Cole saying, Rey's going to Mania. Yes, he is Michael.
Yes, Michael.
To face El Grande.
Does he think he just won the Rumble or something? And he just, it must have been out of habit, but he just says he's going to Mania. Is he? All right.
Anyway, after the bell, El Chad attacks Rey with LWO heading out for the save. No, scratch that. They run out, but not for the save, as El Grande Americano beats them all and finishes Rey off with a flying headbutt with his loaded mask from the top rope. And we know it was loaded because we got a video cutaway of Americano placing a piece of metal in it merely seconds after he landed the aforementioned headbutt.
I tell you what, I would love it if eventually when El Grande was unmasked, it wasn't Chad.
That would be so funny.
It was somebody that's like got I mean, you've not seen his face exactly, but it's exactly the same body type. And obviously he can wrestle, but it would be so funny if it wasn't. And they were just literally next to us like his twin brother that nobody knew. Like, what? Brilliant. Anyway, we have a vignette from the War Raiders next, and they say that New Day didn't just come for the titles, they came for Eric's neck as they tried to put him on the shelf. And that at WrestleMania, it's going to be war. Of course it is. We then cut to Jackie Redmond speaking with the New Day, saying that their match at WrestleMania is going to be war. New Day answer by saying they've been at war the entire time, asking Jackie if she's seen how the locker room have been treating them. Kofi says the warpath stops at Mania when they take the titles. And you know what? I'm not keen on... Well, I don't mind the New Day, but I do hope they beat the Raiders.
Yeah, me too.
They're boring. Sorry if you're fans, they're just boring.
AJ Styles versus Karrion Kross now. Yes, Kross, who's not wrestled for about 3 years.
Is it 3 years? Where's he been? Anyway.
He's accompanied, of course, by Scarlett. Kross dominates in the ring before we end up outside, where Kross tosses Styles into the crowd barrier and then over the timekeeper's area. We hit a break, come back, and we're inside the ropes with Kross still in control. After a couple of slip-ups, nearly dropping Styles and then not getting him up after another move, maybe a little ring rust there from Kross. Kross grounds Styles and covers, with AJ kicking out on 2. Styles fights back with chops and kicks, but Kross then feigns injury, making out he's twisted his ankle. He lures Styles in and then knocks him back with a huge forearm. This annoys Styles, who then wails on Kross and finishes him with a phenomenal forearm, before covering for the 1, 2, 3. As Styles went for his finisher, Kross offered no resistance, even putting his hands behind his back, as if offering himself up for the sacrifice.
After the match, Logan Paul heads out, and after ripping on the crowd, he invites Styles to watch a vignette he'd put together. It's nothing new and nothing we haven't seen before, speaking about his viral success. We then cut back to the live action, and Styles invites Paul down to the ring to start WrestleMania early, with Paul making his way to the ring. Kross attacks Styles though, with Styles gaining the upper hand and dispatching the former Final Testament leader. This though is enough of a distraction to allow Paul to hit Styles with his metal hand and finish him with the pulverizer.
Jey Uso out now, and after a double helping of his music, we hear what he has to say. He says he's crashing out but locked in, and then claims Gunther is afraid, vowing again to get him at WrestleMania.
Didn't you say that last week?
I think so.
Backstage, Kathy Kelly is with Bron Breakker and asks how he's going to handle the biggest title defence of his career. Bron repeats that this is the biggest title defence of his career before being attacked by Balor, Carlito and Dom. Adam Pearce and co do manage to drag Balor away, but not before Bron takes a beating.
Last match of the night, Penta versus Finn Balor, and I wonder if this match will reach its conclusion. Penta attacks Balor on the apron before the bell has even rung, with Penta then going to the outside and throwing Balor in the ring, with the bell then ringing to signify the official start of the match. Penta starts with a crossbody into a pin for 2.
Oh, I thought you were say he won then.
Before we see the headstand in the corner into a double foot into Balor's midsection and another cover for 2.
Now, I don't know what that's called. If you can help me out, send it in the comments and I'll use it next time.
Balor gets a big slap on the chest, with Finn repaying that with a basement drop kick and cover for 2.
The fight goes to the apron and then to the floor, but as it does, we hit a break, come back and find our heroes on the top rope, with Balor hitting a superplex and then covering for another 2. We get an exchange of sling blades before the sacrifice by Penta after he hit a tilt-a-whirl on the Irishman. The Penta driver is then countered into a roll-up pin by Balor, with the ref only counting to 2. Penta drops Finn to his knees and then sets up for the Mexican Destroyer, but as he readies himself, out come Dom and Carlito.
The distraction is enough as Balor hits another sling blade and his shotgun dropkick before heading for the top rope for the coup de grace. Only as Finn steps onto the apron, the sirens go off and the dogs begin to bark as Breakker heads out. Carlito legs it. I'm not surprised after last week, with Breakker getting in the ring and attacking Balor. This, of course, causes the ref to call for the bell, with the match ending in a DQ in Balor's favour. Dom and Carlito come to Balor's aid but suffer a double spear from the IC champ, who then sets his eyes on Penta. Penta manages to get the better of Breakker, sending him from the ring, and then exits himself by flying off the top rope to the outside, landing on Carlito, Dom and Breakker, with Penta then getting back in the ring and celebrating his small victory.
We have a vignette from Io Sky next, and she says she's done being ignored and forgotten, and they have to get through her to get to the title, saying she's beaten Rhea and Bianca before and will do it again.
After looking at the WrestleMania card again, we cut to Paul Heyman still awaiting the arrival of Roman Reigns, when CM Punk saddles up to him saying he's never seen him so stressed. As Punk takes a swig of his drink, we can see a car pull up and out steps Roman Reigns. He looks over at Punk and Heyman just as Punk puts his arm around Heyman, with Reigns laughing and then heading off, presumably to the ring, with Heyman scampering after him. Reigns is indeed heading to the ring. We come back from the break to find him and Heyman in the centre of it.
Heyman offers Reigns a mic, but the tribal chief opts for one from a staffer at ringside instead. Reigns claims some people would betray him, then asks the wise man how he could betray him. The crowd chant, "You fudged up," with Reigns asking them to say it a little louder. Roman then simply asks Heyman, why? Heyman says it wasn't a betrayal, he paid back a favour he owed. Reigns responds by saying he never asked for help or anyone to join him at War Games, so why is he picking up his tab for Heyman's favour?
Before we get a response, out comes Seth Rollins to burn it down. Seth says the triple threat match at Mania is the biggest, most important triple threat match in the history of WrestleMania and the company, because the winner will define the future of the industry. It can't be you who only shows up when it's convenient for you, because then the business dies, Seth tells Reigns. He goes on, and it can't be Punk, as the business is filled with little CM Punks running around who want to pick up their ball and then go home when times get tough, only to come back and leech off the profits of other people's success. If the business is to live and thrive, it has to be me that wins, says Seth.
Go on, Seth, but I don't think he'll win. Seth says he chose not to put Heyman in hospital last week and that Heyman can choose whether or not to repay the favour, adding that Heyman is a scumbag and expects nothing from him. Seth continues, he says that Heyman isn't in Punk's corner by chance. Heyman made a choice, and that Roman has to figure out why Heyman chose Punk over him.
Reigns confirms that Seth is right and that Heyman has made his choice. Roman then adds that he's made his. Reigns swings at Seth, taking him down, and then throws him out the ring. Heyman, giddy as hell, says he acknowledges his tribal chief before being pushed over by Reigns. Of course, this brings out Punk, with Punk and Reigns then going at it. Punk bests Reigns, sending him over the top rope, with Punk then going to check on Heyman. Reigns re-enters the ring though and lands a spear on Punk, before raining, no pun intended, blows down on him. As Reigns surveys the damage, Seth swings a chair at him, knocking him down, before then stomping both Punk and Reigns. Raw goes off the air with Reigns and Punk grounded, and Seth staring at a cowering Paul Heyman.
I've got a feeling that SmackDown's going to be full of WrestleMania card. This is what's happening.
Yeah.
This is not what's happening. And I'm wondering if the WrestleMania card, that they bring up the fights, are in order of how they will go on the night. Because I specifically noticed on the Saturday one that they advertised Gunther and Jey, and then it was the triple threat between Rollins, Punk and Roman. And I've got a feeling that what they show you, or how they show the bouts, is possibly how they will do the running order. I mean, I don't know, but I've just got... I think AJ against Logan Paul, I think that was on the Sunday, but it was kind of the middle, and I think it's like, you want to watch it, but you probably go for a toilet break.
Yeah.
Because they don't have toilet break matches anymore, do they?
No.
So I've got a feeling that's the one, oh well, because you know what's happening, I'll go. But aside from that, not a bad Raw. I don't know what's happened to the Liv Morgan, Alexa Bliss angle that everybody was going on about.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what's happened to Alexa Bliss.
Eliminating her from the Rumble.
Yeah.
And then eliminate her from the Elimination Chamber. Or it's going to be a big White Six Judgment Day showdown. What's happened to that? Gunther was good. That line at the start, that is his promo at the start, and the line that I could have bathed in yours and Jimmy's blood. That was such a brilliant line, and you could imagine that from any serial killer in any kind of slasher flick or horror film, or fantastic. I thought, but aside from Braun, obviously got battered before he went on, and then he got beat. But that's a tough one to call.
It is too hard to call that. It could easily go anyway, couldn't it?
Yeah, it could. Yeah, it could actually. Anyway, thank you again for watching.
Any thoughts or views you'd like to share, then please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below.
And we'll see you Wednesday for a look at this past week in WWE. Thursday for our WrestleMania predictions, which should be quite enjoyable, so at least watch that. And then Saturday when we look at SmackDown.